Hey guys, it's HeyTeacherRaf at gmail.com, or click subscribe and see more tidbits like this. Today I wanted to talk about a true story, an abstract true story, and this one might be a little bit far-fetched. It's not really too crazy. It all begins with a good friend of mine who is a snowboarder, or like to go snowboarding, I would say. He's pretty good at it, but he's not a professional. He just does it for fun as a hobby. And he's been doing it for, I don't know, 20 years, 25 years, I don't know, a long time. And he got injured, unfortunately. I think he fell. He didn't tell me how because we texted, and he messed up his arm pretty bad. How bad? He's in physical therapy, so pretty dang bad. I don't know if it's the elbow. I don't know if it's nerve damage. I don't know if it's just a contusion. I don't know. But it's bad enough where he has to go through physical therapy. So, of course, I don't like seeing my friends in such pain, especially when he was doing something he loved and it turned out to be something tragic that happened to him. So I've been thinking about getting him a get well soon card. I sent him some text messages and some funny images and so forth, just to lighten the mood. Some humor, some ridiculous stuff, something to just chuckle about. And I was at the store and I realized I needed to buy a get well soon card. So I was looking around, I couldn't really find much. There really weren't that many available. And there were only like few available, and the few that were available were like really, like intense ones. Like they were very poetic about, like, get well soon, almost like somebody's in a hospital, like really banged up. I mean, he's not in the hospital, he's just at home, but he has to go through physical therapy. And yes, it's serious, but it's not like life threatening. I think you understand. So I couldn't really find anything that I thought, hey, this would be nice. And then there are only like 4 or 5 cards. So I settled on a card that was humorous, and it's really simple. It has a picture of a dog on the front, and it says, "You know what they say in obedience school." And then once you open the card, it says heal, but it's spelled Heal, heal. And I thought, okay, great, this is funny, lighthearted. I'll buy this, and it's pretty wide, kind of big card, and there's just that one big word in it with not a sunshine, but maybe a circular yellow kind of color, and then the word is in the middle of it. So basically what I'm trying to say is there's a lot of space to write a message, and I didn't know what I was going to write. So I bought this card, and then before going to bed this morning, I was thinking, oh, I should write something fun. And I usually write some funny stuff for him, especially. For my other friends, it's not the same relationship, it's not the same friendship, it's not the same vibe or wavelength, you could say. But what I mean by that is, with this particular friend, we have a very kind of ridiculous and not poetic, but play on words type of humor between us, um, stemming into the ridiculous for certain. And so I was writing this message, and I didn't know what I should write. I wanted to write something interesting, something different, but I hadn't really no idea. And so I just started writing um, something about oh yeah, something about a conductor, and get well soon, you'll be playing symphonies again, something like that. And then I said, uh, I would send you a beer, and I think you know which brand, but I don't want you to get the worm. And of course, that's a play on words on current events, but also, I didn't even realize it, the worm is a play on words for the dog on the front. Dogs get worms. So then I wrote, something along the lines of you'll be kicking fleas and jumping fences in no time. Until then, and then I try to think about snowboarding, what he loved to do, and how I don't know if this is true, but it could be true because he's getting older. That maybe he doesn't want to snowboard anymore. I don't know. Or maybe he'll snowboard, but he'll cut it back a lot. He won't be as adventurous. And when that happens, you kind of lose a little bit of joy, right? So I was thinking, well, what could he do instead of snowboarding? And I was thinking, what could he substitute for snowboarding? I couldn't really find anything, like nothing really came to mind. I mean, of course, there could be a lot of different, alternatives, but something that would just fit. I couldn't figure it out. So I was just sitting there for a minute, and I just started to write something to the effect of Shaka Khan, but instead of Shaka spelled Chaka, I spelled it Shaka, like Shaka, like the California surf's up kind of thing. And I wrote instead of like the singer uh, has this song titled Between the Sheets. So instead of saying Between the Sheets, I wrote Between the Waves. You'll be you'll be riding between the waves in no time. I didn't write that. I wrote something different, but um, and then I like drew this surfboard and standing up, like sticking into the sand. Right? It just kind of came to mind. And then out of nowhere, I thought, okay, so I wrote this on the left side of the card, and on the top portion of the card, it was all empty. And I thought, well, what should I write here? Should I just write my name? No. And then I started thinking something funny because my friend he's like part German, and he's really into his ethnicity and like the culture and like the fun stuff like Oktoberfest and getting dressed up. And um, so I thought, well, what if I say something kind of quirky and like a inside joke between him and I. So I wrote, "Who is who is Claudius von Hauser?" I just thought that up out of nowhere, right? And I thought, well, maybe I'll just put that into Google search engine and see what it pops up. And what popped up was a bunch of strange, like, catalog entries for books and stuff. Like a person of that name didn't pop up, but in the image results, this artist named uh, Roman Signer, Signer, popped up. So I clicked on the blue visit button next to his picture, and it took me to like, a website discussing his installation art and his biography. And when I went to the website, it said that his installations were sculptures, or not necessarily sculptures that he would create out of like pottery, but like time sculptures. And they were known for their preoccupation with the transformation of materials and objects through time. And I thought, whoa, that is so spooky, coincidental, abstract, kind of eerie. Because I'm thinking to myself, okay, he was a snowboarder, and now I want him to transform into a new hobby. And I thought surfing. And then I think of this name, I punch it in, and the image result I get, I look that up. That's the first thing I look up, right? It was just like immediate. And it takes me to the transformation of objects through time. And that's exactly what's going on with him. I mean, a surfboard and a snowboard, that's an object, and it's transforming because yesterday he was a snowboarder, tomorrow he hopefully will be a surfer. I don't know if he'll choose that, but I'm trying to choose that for him as an alternative, like an option to think about. And I thought, wow, that's so abstract, coincidental, but like eerie, right? Like right place at the right time. And then I looked at his biography. I didn't really read through it. I just kind of skimmed. And he's a Swiss guy, and he was born in like 1938. So he's an older gentleman. And he studied at the Academy of Fine Arts in Warsaw. So very coincidental, very odd, very eerie. Uh, and and the whole surfboard coincidence uh, was that when I looked up this installation artist, Roman Signer, however you pronounce his last name, and I scrolled down and it had like a video of some of his installation art and had a couple of photos of some of the things he came up with. There was not a surfboard, but a kayak, but it was in the exact same shape that I drew the surfboard on the card. And it was sticking into like one of those round trash containers on the beach. So it was perpendicular to the beach. And I thought, oh, that's so odd. It looks just like the surfboard I just drew. And I even drew like this small mound of sand too. And this kayak, it looks exactly like the surfboard. You wouldn't even know it's a kayak. But you can see, like, if you look close, obviously, you can see the opening where you would sit into the kayak, right? It's not like a close up of the kayak. It's like, it's this like landscape kind of picture. And I thought, oh, that's so bizarre. Another coincidence on top of the other couple of coincidences here. And I don't know, it's so weird. Eerie, but kind of cool. Something to think about. I usually wouldn't think it was so eerie or coincidental, but there are things within that that just line up in ways that if you're not on the inside of this whole like inside joke, you wouldn't understand. But between me and my friend, there are always these like strange abstract things that line up with us when we like converse or exchange ideas, or I think about him and I'm like, oh, I should write him a card, just something ridiculous, funny, humorous, something stupid, just to give him a giggle. And when that happens, like it these odd coincidences pop up, these abstract thoughts kind of emerge from nowhere and they just fit. And it's just, I guess that's art. I guess that's the beauty or the magic of art. I guess that's what people say. And I thought I wanted to share that story because it's so different and unique. And it might not mean very much to the casual observer, but I think there's a lesson here, uh, and it's about allowing the abstract to take you where you need to go. Sometimes we're so you know uh, preoccupied with logic and deductive logic and the logic of the world and the logic of reasoning and the logic of why and the logic of our decisions that we don't stop and let the abstract kind of lead the way, because the abstract is quieter. It's kind of like invisible, and it's like reading between the lines. It's always there, but we're moving so fast we usually miss it. And I thought that this would be a nice story to line up with my slogan of create the life you love, because a lot of times when you're trying to create the life you love, um, we kind of like miss the boat because we're so busy searching for like a logical reason when the abstract reason finds us. Instead of us searching for it, it finds us. Well, it's just a thought to take away after today's true story. So I hope you enjoyed it. Take care and If you need help on your journey, just email me at heyteacherraf@gmail.com or click subscribe to see more tidbits like this. Take care.